Good morning. Welcome into the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. I'm your host, Bo Bounds.
It ain't bragging if you can back it up.
We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. And the show is powered by your next video wall for your business, video wall for your church, or video wall for your football stadium, arena, you name it, lobby, powered by Sound and Communications, soundcomav.com. SoundcomAV, that's audiovisual, soundcomav.com. We welcome in Mike D to the Out of Bounds Show. Mike, how much has been discussed on your show or just at lunch, dinner, people that you hang out with? How much have you discussed or people want to discuss kind of LSU's budget in football to spend on players? You know, people are talking about $30 million, $35 million, $40 million. How much have you discussed that with people you know?
Yeah, it's been a little bit on sports talk, and outside that region. The one thing, like, LSU to cry poverty, which sometimes they do, is amazing to me because they almost like somebody who can find money under the couch to pay for anything. You know, if they want something, they can find money. And, one of the things down here, and you see it in a lot of sort of rural areas, that people do have money. Now, they'll be the last one to tell you they got it. I've had family members, real close ones, who have it, and they will swear to you on the hand don't quite touch the Bible, but they get close to it that they don't have anything, and yet they load it. And the budget for LSU is, I think people understand that it is a changing world. They get that part for altogether. As long as it produces really positive results, as long as LSU's in the hunt. What gripes them is the money that was spent on football last year and on the football coach and his coaching staff, and the results were not there. And the narrative that, the head coach was not fully engaged. That gripes them more than anything. They understand a little bit about Matt McMahon and maybe him not having a lot of success in LSU basketball because, since Will Wade has left, they have not had a first-team All-SEC player. You got to win with talent. Come on. You got to win with talent. You can have the greatest coaching staff in the world, and coaching does matter, but, man, you better have players. And I think that's the one thing that gripes them about what happened last year is what happened when you spending the kind of money that was spent on Brian Kelly, his staff, the players, they got engaged last year in the name, image, likeness transfer portal deal for the first time, and yet it failed miserably. So the hope is that, Lane Kiffin can give you the positive results. And he's been like the king of Mardi Gras year round since he took the job.
Have you ever seen anything like this? I know it was a different time with Saban. Saban didn't come in with that kind of pedigree because he had been at Michigan State. Nobody cares about Michigan State football down here. And even though he totally changed the game at LSU and Bama, it was just a different deal. Have you ever... You've been covering New Orleans and Louisiana sports for 40 years. Have you ever witnessed anything like what's happened since Lane took over at LSU, Mike D?
No. I tell people, growing up as a teenager, one of the things that was so heavily covered was at that time, the NBA expanding into New Orleans, and it was the New Orleans Jazz. And they traded for Pistol Pete Maravich. They made the deal with the Atlanta Hawks for Pistol Pete. you couldn't open a newspaper or watch a TV newscast for like a month without some mention of Maravich coming back to Louisiana. That may be the closest. But that was a different time. You talk about the 1970s, so it was a different time, different world of covering it. But there's been nothing like that since. And Lane has eclipsed everything. And part of it too is his use of social media. And I do think in this different kind of changing world, he understands that young people get that part. Okay, they get it. I see my grandkids. They watch stuff, and all these videos and all of these teenage kids doing stupid stuff. Man, I'm glad I didn't have that when I was growing up. Man, they could have really done a series with some of the cats and people that I hung around with. It'd have been a lot more interesting than what I see my grandkids watch. So, but he understands that is a big part of it. And for a lot of people, you and I did not grow up with this.
Right.
Okay? If you're a certain age, you didn't grow up with this. But for a lot of young people, they have grown up with this all their life. And they understand the power of that. And LSU has done a very good job of the brand of LSU on social media. They've understood that really well. And not only athletes that are there now, but former athletes that were there. Like Shaq O'Neal. Can you turn on a television and watch it for more than 2 hours and not see at least 1 to 2 commercials?
No.
Shaq O'Neal
he endorses more products than anybody in sports.
And, so you see that. You see commercials with Joe Burrow, LSU. You see commercials, Malik Neighbors. He's got a big-time commercial. Livy Dunn and what she's been able to do, and the gymnastics part of things. And you see Paul Skeens now, and it just kind of goes on and on and on. Flau'jae Johnson, the impact Flau'jae had not only on women's basketball at LSU, which she gave back to the community, because a lot of people, they only want to hear negative stuff about athletes. They think athletes are stealing money. But what Flau'jae did to give back to the community and using that brand of LSU to do it, it's really amazing. It's sort of a new world for all of us to adapt to and to see how it's done. We have a president of the United States doing the same thing, right? He's using media and social media the exact same way. And he's not a young man, but he understands the impact of that particular part. Now, maybe,
great point.
His son Barron has, kind of helped that along the way, but he has used that part to get his message across. But I've never seen anything in Louisiana in my time frame that has kind of rolled with this for this long a period of time as Lane Kiffin coming to LSU since December.
Did you see the picture of Lane Kiffin and Deuce McAllister on social media,
sure
Mike
did.
D? I
sure did. No, and I reposted it on Twitter. And for people some Ole Miss people really got upset with that. But you got to understand, Deuce's son is going to have offers in both football and basketball. He really turned into a terrific receiver last year for Country Day. And he's always been a really good basketball player. They've won back-to-back state championships here.
Wow.
And so, they get invited. And, Deuce has known Lane since he was at Ole Miss. And, not saying they were close friends, but they knew each other pretty well. And people made a big thing about it, that you took a picture with Deuce McAllister, with Lane. And I think most people, Ole Miss people, would do it today. They won't admit it, but I think most would. Okay, if they met up with Lane somewhere. But man, you know, I know where Deuce's heart lies. You know, man, he's an Ole Miss guy, 2,000%. But you know, his son's being pursued, and it won't be just LSU. Everybody is going to be after him, and he's a really talented athlete. And he'll have his choice: basketball, college basketball, or college football.
Now, what grade is he in, Mike? Do you know currently?
He is. It was a junior, so yeah, he's a junior.
Okay. Oh wow. So wrapping up his junior year, going into his senior year. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line. So do you think he'll be one of the better players in the state of Louisiana? Is he considered that good?
He's that good.
Okay.
And he's got pedigree. Okay.
Yeah, he does.
Just have some pedigree. But you know, he's a much taller version of Deuce. I'll put it to you that way. You know, it's just that, and I've done shows. You know, we had a lot of shows we would do at Rouse's Markets here on Saturdays. And a lot of times, like Deuce would like race in at the last moment because he was at a basketball tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Or he had to leave real quickly because he was going to a basketball tournament. So, yeah, he's going to be one of the better football players when he comes out, and also one of the best basketball players when he comes out.
Which one do you think he'll do? Which way do you think he'll go, Mike D? Deuce McAllister's son.
I have a feeling it'll be basketball.
Wow. Okay.
Now, I've had conversations with Deuce, and he's going to let him select whatever he wants to do or wherever he wants to go. But he may get a nudge to a certain school. But I just have a feeling his love for basketball, you know, might eclipse that love for football. Because I had to do actually the country day had to play on the road. It wasn't the final game they played because they won that game, but it was in North Louisiana. So he had got in touch with me about doing a show for him at Rouse's that he was scheduled to do. He was like, "Hey, can you fill in for him?" I was like, "Yeah." And he told me they were headed like the day before to North Louisiana for a football game. He ended up winning, but then got beat the next week. But yeah, Bo, just a gut feeling. I think it'll be basketball for Curtis.
Okay. Deuce McAllister's son, Curtis McAllister. We were talking football and basketball recruit. Mike D says he may go basketball over football. So is LSU standing pat with Matt McMahon? Is that a totally done deal? He'll be back, Mike D?
Silence. Dead silence.
Okay.
So that it's going to be one of two things. I think that if Will Wade would want to come back to LSU, they will make it happen. The big question mark is, does Will want to leave North Carolina State after a year to come back to LSU? Will still has very close friends in Louisiana. He actually made a comment to me when I had him on a couple of weeks ago. I'll see you in May. But he visits here quite often. And so he's got really close friends in Louisiana that have clout, so to speak, much more than I do. But, yeah, it's really up to him if he wants to come back. They will make it happen. If he doesn't, then I think they would hang pat with McMahon.
Wow. Can you imagine how this is going to look? And we'll see what North Carolina does. This could be crazy. All right. Mike D on the Out of Bounds Show, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. This is cool. He was able to give us a little bit of a background on Deuce McAllister's son as a football and basketball recruit, Ole Miss, hot and heavy, LSU among, as Mike said, many other schools. Mike, I think, Deuce getting into media and getting into the New Orleans Saints broadcast, I think he's just gotten better and better at his craft. How do you see it, Mike D?
No question. He has gotten so much better at this. And, when he first started, him and I had this conversation. And one of the things I told him, you can't go to school for this. Your school is on the air. You only get better when you do it. Okay? They can teach you, if you went to school, they can teach you certain things. And I think writing's important because even if you're not involved in media, to be able to write, I think is sort of becoming a lost art in our society in many ways. But, he didn't go to school for that. I didn't go to school for that. I was an engineer, okay? So it's different, but the only way you get better is to do it. And, I have some shows that when I finish with it, I'm like, man, that was pretty good. And I hear it. And I have some shows I'm more critical of myself than anybody could ever be. Man, I should have thought of this question, or I should have thought this. And I think, Bo, you understand perfectly because that happens with you.
Yes.
And with everybody else who's ever done this. For the people who've never done it, and, well, I would do this, okay, well, there's a reason why you're not doing it. Okay? There's a reason. But he has gotten so much better. He's got great knowledge of the game. He simplifies it for folks that he doesn't want to get too technical with things.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes people want to show you how much they know. And also, too, he lives in the now. I can get a lot of people to come on the show like you can. They can talk about what they did 20 years ago or 15 years ago, but they can't tell you anything about the game today.
Right.
Can't tell you about players today. Deuce knows players. He knows coaches, all that. He's really, really good at it and has gotten so much better at it. And he can see something and make a call before it happens, sort of the Hank Stram thing. He sees a formation, and he can make that call. So Deuce has done really well. We try to, because he's in another business. Like I told him, hey, join my world. He's in another business now. So, but he comes on with us twice a month and gives us his insights, especially during the football season. He's on weekly, but
nice.
Twice a week. In the off season, we get him on, and just people have other things in life. Yesterday, I had Jake Delhomme on. Jake's a buddy of mine. Good God,
racehorse.
Come again? Yeah, racehorse. Once Upon a Star won the Louisiana Classic. So,
yeah, saw that.
And him and his brother and his dad have been in the racehorse business forever, and just his anxiety of watching his horse race and win. And, for an athlete, and you lose control of things in life, okay? You lose control of your kids, grandkids, everything. You can control some things you do them, but you can't control other things. And he would laugh when I would tell him, my granddaughter is competitive, and she's involved in gymnastics and pretty good at it. I go sit by myself. I can't sit. I don't sit with, other family members. I don't want to hear all that chit-chat stuff. I go sit by myself or stand by myself, and I'm good, okay? And she knows where I'm at, my granddaughter. She'll just look at me and, and just sort of nod and everything else. But she knows that I am more comfortable that way. And Jake was saying about, you lose control. You've done everything to get your horse prepared, and then, okay, he saddled up, he's in the paddock ready to roll, And he said the nerves are unbelievable. Just unbelievable for you to see that you've taken care of this horse. You've done everything, gotten him prepared, and now in less than a couple minutes, it's all over. And you have no control, none. And that's hard in life. And he went through it yesterday, and we had a great conversation about, just that and just how I grew up around horses. And, you can see some of them have the it factor, and Once Upon a Star had the it factor. But how they react to having a saddle put on them for the first time, or somebody riding them for the first time. And they all have different personalities, and they're smart. They're different smart than, say, a dog or a cat. A lot of there is retention, and they sort of understand what's going on. But man, a horse and that big animal, and you taking care of him. So he was great with it yesterday. But he's been in the horse racing business for him and his dad for over 30 years.
Wow. I was reading some of that over the weekend. Mike Detillier on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. All right, Mike D, we appreciate it. The Deuce McAllister stuff was fantastic. And so we'll keep an eye on his son, Curtis McAllister, football and basketball recruit out of New Orleans. Mike D, have a good one, man. Thank you.
Thank you, Bo. Hey, he says he's 6'4". I haven't measured him, but I know one thing, Deuce ain't 6'4".
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, man.
Mike D, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. He joined us on the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Bundle your auto and home and save with your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. Go with the home team, as Jake Mangum likes to tell us or say. Deuce McAllister. Oh my gosh. He's done some good stuff down there with the Saints. And of course, in with WWL Radio, and that leads to other things. Curtis McAllister, football, basketball recruit out of New Orleans. And yeah, I knew right when I saw it that was going to ruffle some feathers when Deuce and Lane were hanging out. And of course, Lane has to tweet it out to get a reaction. The job will not be too big for Lane Kiffin. The LSU job was too big for Brian Kelly, and the Auburn job was too big for Hugh Freeze. And it happens. Now, I don't know with Kalen DeBoer. I'm still kind of leaning it's not. But the Alabama job may be too big for Kalen DeBoer. And like somebody like John Summerall has to walk in and really wrap his brain around leading a program that big. Like Joe Moorhead, the Mississippi State job was way, 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 way too big for him. Hour number 3 coming up.